guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ruth Adewole Oluyale, and if you're watching me for the first time, I came on live as a Nigerian living in Sweden. Someone wanted me to talk about or compare Nigeria with Sweden, right? And okay, that's actually an interesting conversation. So let's get down to the 7 culture clashes between Nigeria and Sweden. Let's go. The obvious one, number one, will be the weather, right? The attitude in summer is different from the attitude in other seasons, right? It's very different. You see a lot of Swedes out, they're outgoing, that they're just traveling on vacation. They're just lively. Just the weather just lightens the mood, right? However, in Nigeria, we have summer all year round. From January to December, it's summer. The only difference in our seasons is whether rain falls or rain doesn't fall. So we just have 2 seasons. We have the raining season and we have the dry season. But even in those 2 seasons, it's still summer all year round. The temperatures are as high as 20-something, 30-something in some places. And I think in the northern part of Nigeria, it's way hotter than the southern part. So temperatures are quite high. So we have summer all year round. We're not excited about summer like Swedes are, right? Because we don't have winter, we don't have spring, we don't have autumn, right? So I think that's one of the, like I said, the topmost cultural clashes or shock that you can experience as a Nigerian in Sweden. Number 2, this one is going to be very, like I say, dicey. I'll talk about the healthcare system in Sweden versus that of Nigeria. I like the healthcare system in Sweden in the sense that it's organized and all that. I like it. Like they have primary healthcare centers. Like in your commune, you have primary healthcare centers. You don't have to go to the major hospitals before you can receive treatment or can receive healthcare, right? Of course, in Nigeria, we have primary healthcare, but they're not as effective, right? When I was in Nigeria, I could just go to the hospital and say I want to see the doctor. Oh, what is the problem? And they recommend drugs and all that. But here in Sweden, it doesn't just work that way. In fact, I've already made up my mind. If I'm not feeling fine in Sweden, the best, just go and take Alvidon, because that's the same thing the doctor will tell you. So, right. It's very different here. I think that's one of the culture shocks that I have or I've had. I don't know if I've gotten over it. I could just, if I had something that I thought was a problem, or if I were not feeling fine in Nigeria, because of course I was privileged enough to have health insurance, I would just go to the hospital and check what is wrong with me. Like I had easy access to healthcare. It's easy. Is it cheap? Is it inexpensive as compared to Sweden? No. But you have the means in Nigeria, you can get the best healthcare ever. But in Sweden, it's available to everybody, which is an advantage, right? But it's not as accessible as it is in Nigeria. There are private practitioners, there are public institutions, right? So you can choose whichever one you can afford, right? But in Sweden, it's not like that. If I have a headache, for example, I'm not thinking about going to the doctor. No, except it's something like the system is built in a way that except it's something extremely serious, like an emergency, don't bother calling the doctor or the hospital. So I think that's one of the culture shocks that I've had in Sweden. In Nigeria, it's more decentralized, but in Sweden, it's more organized. So I think it has more bottlenecks. If you'd ask me. In Nigeria, it's not as bottleneck as Sweden. If the government hospitals are not answering you, if you can afford it, you go to private clinics, right? But it's not like that in Sweden. That's number 2 culture shock. Number 3 will be respect. Respect in Sweden is very different from respect in Nigeria. It's so different. In Nigeria, respect is very hierarchical. Like their titles, it's very hierarchical, and the more you are highly placed in society, the more you are respected. The older you are, the more you are respected, right? So respect is based on age, position, and all that. So we are trained to respect our elders. Like you respect your elders. You don't talk down on your elders and all. That's the culture. So even in workplaces, although it's changing now, in some workplaces they go by first name basis. But in other workplaces, in many other workplaces, you don't do first name basis. You Mr., Mrs., Sir, Ma, and depending on the culture, it goes as far as mommy and daddy to people who are not your moms and your dads, just to show that respect. You don't just call people by their first names in Nigeria. Even within the family, it's changing now, but generally that's what it is. Within the family, you don't just call your elder brother by their name. You put a prefix, uncle, brother, or you call your relative that is older than you uncle, auntie. Like, that's just how it works in Nigeria. But in Sweden, it's not like that. Everybody is first name basis. Everybody first name basis. Whether the person is old or is 80 years old or 2 years old, it's first name basis. You don't even do the Mr., Mrs., Miss, Ma'am, nah. So it's a very, very big cultural shift compared to. Then number 4, we talk about the fashion. The fashion in Nigeria is bright. It's loud. We are loud. The fashion in Nigeria is loud. Colorful things, colorful attires, like multicolors. It's not just about gray, white, black, beige. We are very loud when it comes to fashion. Like, we do it, when we want to do it, we do it loud. But in Sweden, it's very more toned down. It's even in summer that you get to see more colorful dresses and wears. But it's just generally toned down, gray clothes, sneakers, jeans. Like, it's just funny when I like, for example, in Nigeria, when you go to church on Sunday, you expected to dress your best to the house of God. That's how we see it in Nigeria. But it's funny when in church in Sweden, you see people wearing just sneakers, jeans, very casual dressing, shorts. But in Nigeria, you dress up. Because, like, yeah, you're going to the house of your father, you're going to the house of God. Why are you not dressing up? So that's how we see it in Nigeria. Then, talking about church, religion in Sweden is very toned down, very personal, very private. But in Nigeria, it is very loud. You are either a Christian or a Muslim or a traditional worshiper. Like, it's not so common to find Nigerians who are atheists or who are agnostics, right? You just have to lean towards one, even though you are not practicing. You just have to lean towards one. And those who are practicing, they are loud about it. You hear people preaching in the streets, on the buses. But here in Sweden, when you see people preaching or sharing tracts, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing, because it's not something that is common. But in Nigeria, it is very, very common. Then you have people and social life. The social life in Sweden is more toned down. Swedes are nice, right? But they're not as, what I say, out there, like in terms of being sociable. You can't just be on the bus and you're chit-chatting with someone sitting close to you. Everybody just minds their business. But in Nigeria, we are very sociable. Like, we are more friendly, more outspoken when it comes to relating with people. Like, here in Sweden, I don't even know many of my neighbors. I've been in an apartment before where I don't even know one neighbor. If I saw them outside, I wouldn't even recognize them as my neighbor. But in Nigeria, it's not so. Even though it's gradually shifting now, but Nigeria is a very communal society where you get to know your neighbors, there's that communality, right? But in Sweden, it's more of individual, your family, your close-knit family and all that. But in Nigeria, it's very communal. Even in the family unit, it's very extended. You have your nuclear family, father, mother, children. Then you have your extended family. Like, it's more communal than in Sweden. That's why when people who are from Nigeria, for example, travel to other places of the West that are similar to Sweden in culture, they tend to be very lonely because the society is not as outgoing as theirs. Yeah. Then you talk about the last but not the least will be the work-life balance. Oops, Sweden has a lot of work-life balance. My goodness, it's amazing. Imagine getting 480 days away from work because you had a baby and you're going to share that with your spouse. 240, both male and female. In Nigeria, I think there's little or no paternity leave, and the maternity leave is just 3 months. So you get back to work. I think it's similar to the United States, right? So you get back to work after having a baby for 3 months, after 3 months of having a baby. But in Sweden, you are off work for over, sometimes you can be off work over a year, because you can take from your spouse's leave days, right? When Nigeria, you can't just stay and say, oh, my baby is not feeling fine, I'm not going to work. The way it works in Nigeria is that it now depends on how nice your manager is or your supervisor is. But in Sweden, it's standard. If your child is not feeling fine, you can stay off work for that time, and it's okay. It's well respected. So I think I love that part of Sweden. The work-life balance is amazing. It's way better than even many Western countries, and I love it about Sweden. So yeah, if this has been very exciting and informative for you, or shocking to you, put your comments down below, and until I come your way next time again, bye bye.